Jujutsu rewards the selfish. The king of curses we all know and love, or love to hate, is the embodiment of peak Jujutsu, a self-centered, hedonistic sociopath. First, let me say that Sukuna is not a victim by any means, but his humanity was a casualty nudged towards the brink of vanishing thanks to the influences from the way of life in the Heian era. I'm not pleading for anyone to feel sorry or think differently of him because I do believe he would have been a self-centered sociopath no matter what. I'm talking about what created the monster that we know as the King of Curses, who is wreaking havoc 1,000 years later. There's 3 parts I want to touch on, and the first 2 parts will supplement and round out the final point of the video, which is addressing the Binding Vow merchant allegations. 2 sets of twins, 2 different types of sacrifices with different rewards, but both came to the same conclusion: a monster was born. As we know, twins in Jujutsu Kaisen are viewed as one when it comes to Jiu-Jitsu, and I believe twins are always meant to come back together. I mean that spiritually as well as in sorcery. When one dies, I think there's a possibility that what was once split will go to the other one that is still alive. So let's say if Maki would have died in Shibuya, Mai would have gotten a small but decent cursed energy buff from Maki. That is headcanon on my part, and I much prefer how Gege handled the twins we see in the story. Mai gave all of herself to help Maki reach her monstrous potential. That was a sacrifice Maki did not want to happen. She chased her sister because that was a tether to humanity. This is a much different sacrifice than Sukuna's departure with his twin, where one twin sacrificed himself for the other one. Sukuna took it upon himself to cannibalize his brother. Selfish and selfless. What was the reward for each decision? Maki became unbound by cursed energy and an outlier in the world she exists in, much like Toji. Maki didn't make the decision though. She was able to retain her humanity, even becoming a monster. Sukuna sacrificed his brother for his own survival, but the outcome was the same: a monster was born. The reward, however, to create that monster differed because of his selfish actions. It ripped his humanity away before he was ever shown what love is. Maki remained a human but was seen as a monster to sorcerers. Love is the reason she remains fighting for our side, and when the two fought, Sukuna could tell she made a sacrifice to shave away what it meant to be a sorcerer. She is the humanity he turned away. Sukuna became a human who looked more like a monster from birth. An extra mouth, 2 extra arms, that was his reward. But it wasn't a reward brought by love. It was a gift from Jiu-Jitsu, from sorcery. This made him despised by both sides, humanity and sorcerers. He has only himself to thank. Normally I would say blame there, but I believe he is unapologetically himself and decided early on that love is worthless. It was said curse techniques usually manifest around age 6 or 7. Can you imagine what kind of life he endured until his curse technique manifested? And even then, he was still in the golden age of sorcery, where the baseline level of talent was higher than it is in the present timeline for the story. Only the strong will survive, and I'm talking literally about Sukuna's will to survive. His self-preservation skill vastly outweighs any concerns for others, and it eclipses anyone else's will to survive. It's that very mindset that took him on a path that wasn't easy and did not receive a curse technique that ensured his survival, or at least made it easier. I love Gojo and he earned his own top spot, but he was gifted with the ultimate combo to create Jujutsu Jesus. The environment and way of life in the Heian era had to be tough, especially if you weren't strong. This could have been why Sukuna's mother couldn't supply enough nutrients for both babies to grow, which led to him eating his twin in the womb. After all, if his mother was getting the proper food, he wouldn't have been hungry enough for those innate survival instincts to kick in. But there's also the possibility that Sukuna's desires and needs are just that much greater, and he's an endless pit that his mother could never satisfy. He was always going to do what he needed to do to survive. And I don't actually think Sukuna actively eats human beings. I think that he may have had to eat a human being, as we know with his twin brother. We've seen him eat his own Shimbutsu mummy. He bit Angel. He does do cannibalistic things. Let's just be honest here. You eat one human, you're a cannibal. But I don't think he's just actively going around eating people, is where I'm getting at. When I say Sukuna is a survivor, it's an all-encompassing type of ability that he has. That's his greatest talent, is to always make sure he survives. He'll do what it takes. He'll never die from hunger because he will eat a human. And it's that restriction that he lifts off of himself that pushes him into being more curse-like. He turned away from his humanity, unlike Maki. He shed everything away of his own volition. And that doesn't even have to deal with things that are curse energy related. Even before birth, he exhibited the type of actions Jiu-Jitsu rewards. It's about selfishness, putting your own desires ahead of everyone else, and understanding like your sense of self and what you want. There's no indecisiveness. You act and you move forward. That's what Jiu-Jitsu rewards. It's an overall sense of self, and it's just those types of individuals who aren't afraid to trample over others or put their desires or wants ahead of everybody else. From his actions before he was born to the world and environment he was raised around, steeled his resolve to believe that might makes right. It's a perfect storm to create a monstrous being that is ideal for that world. However you want to look at it, Sukuna is about surviving, and it's the things I've laid out previously in this video to bring us to our last point. Perception. How you choose to view things will directly skew how you interpret adversity or your surroundings. Maybe you have a minimalist perspective on life, so you choose to focus on a small core group of things that give your life purpose and cut away anything and everything that gets in the way of those things, and you cut them down to the most basic elements. Or maybe you are the opposite and see the world through a maximalist lens, meaning more is more, focusing on surrounding yourself with as many things as possible. Sukuna is an outlier here because why choose quantity or quality when you can have both? He isn't bound to that level of worldview. He lives to seek out his own desires, and when you couple that with his will to survive and put it in the Han era, you reach the outcome of a monster. But now, what if each of those attributes are cranked to the max? Then and only then you reach the Calamity known as Ryomen Sukuna. He lives for Jiu-Jitsu. He does binding vows because Jiu-Jitsu is the only thing to reward him for his atrocious acts. Others don't have the perception to sacrifice everything for sorcery. He believes might makes right, and he perceives these binding vows to be possible because of his perception. His grasp on Jiu-Jitsu and curse energy extends past the norms of being a human, whereas most humans don't want to die, and just because it's easy to say you want a more powerful move, doesn't mean you actually can perceive it being a possibility. And that is especially true when you are fighting for your life. Sukuna knows where each ability he has starts and ends. There's no gray area to guess at what may happen. For him, it's just about the same as the good guys trusting in their teammates' plans or something along that line. Sukuna has faith in his complete grasp of curse energy and his curse technique. He is a king of curses, yes, but he's a human all the same, just a savant of sorcery. It's because of the life he lived in the past that gave him the tools he needs to apply everything in this moment. In my opinion, Choso had a binding vow in order to save Yuji. He surrendered his own life to re-strengthen the barrier to protect Yuji, the ultimate sacrifice. He was able to do that because it's instinctive to him. That's what he talks about. He's just the instinctive type. That is the embodiment of that character, nailed perfectly, execution and all. The whole point of this is the perception to do so. It's not about second guessing yourself, pushing your ego past your id. It's knowing who you are and telling others to deal with it. Selfless people tend to think about others, and that causes hesitation. Unless it's something they feel strongly and moves them, compels them to move strongly for. Choso did that for Yuji. Sukuna does that for Jiu-Jitsu and to survive. I'm Tiberius, and this was my Toto Talk. Thank you. Thanks for staying for the whole video. I appreciate it. This is my first video. I tried to do a bit more scripting. I still ended up going off tangents and things like that, but if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more scripted content, something a bit more of a serious tone than my normal meme-ish fun videos, which I'll always do those. But let me know. I really appreciate you guys. Follow me on Twitter. I don't ever plug that, but I do be on there a lot. And don't forget to subscribe. Getting close to that 500, and that's my goal before the end of summer, so let's make it happen. Alright, stay normie, stay weeb, shit even in between is fine. Until next time, peace.